Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and I'm going to show you a way. This is kind of an alternative setup. I don't think that this is the best overall setup for the way to set up a long pole, but I think this is the most effective way to set up a long pole. If you haven't been fishing in a while, you think you're going to have to change your baits a lot. If you're fishing heavy cover, there's just a lot of different scenarios that it works really well versus if you watch our other video, the way that we set it up with the Carolina rig. That is by far the best to catch fish, just for the simple fact that I feel like you can feel the fish better. A lot of different aspects to that is more better, but this is a little alteration that I've been using just because it makes moving through, if you're having to change baits or different things, it works really well versus the Carolina rig setup. And still same setup. This pole here is a little different. This is the 11-foot Wally Marshall Classic Series. I think the other video is 14-foot, but this is the 11-foot. The reason why I have this 11-footer is if I'm fishing with somebody or I've got clients, just a lot of different scenarios. I like having this 11-footer. It does not, it is a little bit lighter in your hand, but it works really well in companion with the guy that's fishing the 14-footer. So you got a guy fishing a 14-footer. He's 3 foot out in front. He misses the fish. You see a fish that's closer, a lot of different scenarios. This one here kind of bats clean up. And the way that I have it rigged is still using the 15-pound test line. I did try a different reel with it. This is the Classic Pro. It's about a $60 reel. It works really good. It's not as smooth as the Lews Speed Spool, but still I've caught a ton of fish with it. Don't have any problem with it. No slipping issues, anything like that. Probably wouldn't cast as good. This is 6 ball bearings versus the other has 10. If I had to choose between the two, I would still use the Speed Spool. I would give the $30 more for it. But if you can't afford the extra $30, then this is definitely a great option. Or if you're wanting to buy, say you're wanting to buy 4 or 5 reels, and outfit 4 or 5 rods, those $30 adds up real quick. And this is a great option. Looks great. It's got gold accents. But let's kind of get into the way that we have this set up and what makes it different than the other setup. And it's really simple. So we still going with the braid, 15-pound tour grade braid. I think this is the best braid on the market. It comes off the spool really well. There's no twist issues. It's overall, I still say that this is the best braid. And the way that we have it set up that's different though is instead of having the swivel and doing the Carolina rig, what I've done, and it's actually shortened up on this one because we broke off some, but what I like to do is I've got it tied off right here, and we'll just go ahead and spool up some more. I've probably had this on for probably a year, maybe over a year, but we'll go ahead and cut this off and retie it and show you what we're doing. And what we're doing that's so different from the other setup is we're actually running 17-pound fluorocarbon. And the reason why that is I can take this 17-pound fluorocarbon. I know it's cardinal sin to run a heavier pound fluorocarbon than what you have braid. But I've ran this, like I said, I just cut that off, and I have ran this for over a year for single pole fishing. And what I have found is that I'm not breaking off. The hooks that I use, they're good strong hooks, but the tension on straightening that hook out versus the 17-pound line, the hook straightens out before the 17-pound breaks, and I haven't had any breaks at the knot. Like I said, it seems to always straighten it out. So that's why I'm running the 17-pound fluorocarbon to the braid. And I like to run a little bit longer. So whenever we're doing the Carolina rig style, like I said, most of the time we don't get any longer than 3 foot because that bait has to catch up to that 3 foot to where that sinker is, where that bullet weight is. But with the way that we do this here, and my hands, they're extremely cold. But the way that we do this here, we're gonna tie this leader to it just as you would with any leader. I just use I don't remember what this knot's even called, but you make a loop, you do 7 down, 7 back up, and then put it back through the hole that you went in. And it always holds really well. Back through the hole. Put some wetness to it to lubricate it up. Make sure she's tight. And then also, the longer this leader is, the less the sensitivity is. You lose some sensitivity because the sensitivity comes in the braid. There's a higher diameter in the braid. That's why you see it on your Livescope, because of the density. And this, there's no give in the braid. This here's a little spongy in the fluorocarbon. Of course, having 17-pound test, it's a lot less spongy than whenever you use 8 or 10. And I'm gonna run that all the way back into my spool. And I got, looks like I got a little mess here. So we'll just pop that out like that. Just pull some of this back up on here, just like so. Clip her off there. Yeah, that should be plenty. Cut right there. And then we'll put this bullet weight on here. We're going to put a T-stop in, but we might not put it nearly, just maybe just a hair less is tight. That way we're able to move it up and down the line. So if we need our leader to be, or if we need the distance between our sinker and our bait to be more, we can pull it out. Say the fish are getting spooked by the weight, different things. Or we're needing to change the fall angles, we can let out more. Pull it down in there. You don't want it moving a whole lot, but as it's wet, you'll be able to move it. But you want it to sit, because as your hook sets become more aggressive, you run a bigger risk of moving that down through there. But clip that off, come up to the top. Clip that off. And I'm actually using, so the 2 different hooks that I use the Wally Marshall sausage heads, but I'm also very partial to the Crappie Max Minna heads. Just the different profile head sometimes changes it, and I like to use both. Actually, using this setup last year, I had one of the Crappie Max Minna heads. I had caught so many fish on it that I had wore the barb off of it, which actually made it, for if you're catching limits, it made it really nice, because it was able to get that fish off pretty quick and get the bait back in the water. But whenever it would get hung on a stick or piece of structure, if they were oriented to structure, I would just get a hold of it. If I couldn't flip it loose, I would just get a hold of it, and you could just kind of straighten that hook out enough that it would always come off. And the less time you spend having to tie on new hooks, the more time you get to spend fishing. It's that quick, and like I said, the reason why we do this is so we're not having to tie on. I've run this setup with this Crappie Max hook, 17-pound braid, or 17-pound fluorocarbon, 15-pound braid. I ran it from probably February last year through May, which I think in May we were casting more, but I know I was fishing with it in maybe April, and then still had the same hook on. This hook here has probably been on since that time. You know, whenever they quit, we quit vertical jigging them and went to casting. This kind of took a back seat, but as you'll see in either the video coming up this week or next week, we're back to vertical jigging and we're having a ball slinging some pretty good crappie in. So like I said, as you can see, I've got it about this long, but if for whatever reason, if I was chasing fish and I needed to choke up, I could choke up if I seen that that was really changing the way that this, because this here is going to affect this here. The closer this is, any little movement is going to move this more at a quicker rate. And it's also, if you're high up in the water column, it causes a little bit of a pendulum action that is negated by a longer leader. But say you're out there on the water and they don't like this jig head or this color, cut it off, put another one on, cut it off, put another one on. You can go through several baits before you ever have to tie on another leader with this setup. So like I said, I fish with both of them depending on the scenario. If I'm tournament fishing, I'm probably not going to be using this scenario, although I have tournament fished with it. It was felt very comfortable with it, and fished the tournament. I think we got third in that tournament, either second or third in that tournament, and I was using this pole. But most of the time, if I'm tournament fishing, I'm going to be using the Carolina rig setup. So if you have questions, concerns, comments, like I said, you can leave a comment below. But that is the two setups that I'm running and will be running this rest of the winter going into spring as I am vertical jigging crappie. So we will see you on the water. GoPro, stop capture.